Populist Era and the Wizard of Oz. In this presentation, I will be connecting the story of the Wizard of Oz to the Populist Era. To begin, The Wizard of Oz is a story written by L. Frank Baum in the 1900s. In 1939, the film for this came out, and it starred Judy Garland as Dorothy. This movie was also the first movie to be filmed in color. The story of The Wizard of Oz follows the female lead named Dorothy as she tries to find her way to the Wizard of Oz so she can get home. Along the way, she meets characters all in need of something from the wizard as well. The Scarecrow in need of a brain, the Cowardly Lion is in need of courage, and the Tin Man is in need of a heart. Together they travel through the land of Oz to get to the Emerald City where the wizard is. The theme of this story is that there is no place like home.
You think you know the story of the Wizard of Oz, but you probably only know part of it. The book that the movie was based on was written by L. Frank Baum and originally published in 1900. Some economists and historians insist that the book is an economic fairy tale, a story about America in the age of the gold standard. In their telling, each character represents a person or group active in the late 1800s.
The movement present in this story was populism. The Populists were people a part of the political movement whose aim was to improve conditions for the farmers and the workers. They were also referred to as the People's Party. This party had most of its success with the farmers, who experienced a lot of change in the years following the Civil War. In 1964, Henry Littlefield wrote an article called The Wizard of Oz and the Parable of Populism. This article showed the connections between the Wizard of Oz and populism. Dorothy represents every man that benefited from the free silver movement, seen in the form of her silver shoes. She benefited from it because, in the end, clicking her silver shoes together made her return to home. This is much like how the farmers were able to profit from the silver because it raised the prices of their crops and their debts would be easier to pay. She shows the main point of populism as well, which was the concerns of American people. The Scarecrow represents the farmers in the West. In the book, it shows that he is in need of a brain. This relates to the farmers because many people thought that the farmers were dumb. For the farmers, most of them owed money to the bankers in the East and had mortgages. When deflation hit, the value of the farmers' debts rose, and they owed much more money to the bankers than the time they took out the loan. This was bad for the farmers, but very good for the bankers. The Cowardly Lion represents William Jennings Bryan. He was a populist leader and the face of the free silver movement. He believed that adding silver to the gold standard would solve the nation's economic blows. They relate to each other because they both tried to find the best interests of others. The lion being loyal to Dorothy and helping her find her way, and Bryan using his presidency to find what was best for the majority. The Tin Man represents the working men. It shows how the Tin Man is rusted and no longer works, much like the 18% of Americans that were unemployed in 1894. The Munchkins represent the citizens in the East. Citizens in the East wanted to keep the gold standard in place and urged authority to do so. This is how the Munchkins advised Dorothy to follow the yellow brick road. The yellow brick road represents the gold standard. Many people believe that the end of the gold standard would be the end to all the problems. This is much like how Dorothy's problems would end if she followed the yellow brick road. The Emerald City represents Washington, D.C. This is shown because everything is seen through the green-colored glasses, which is signifying money. Oz represents the standard measure of gold, which is an ounce. The Wicked Witch of the West represents the Great Plains. It was hard for Americans to make a living over there because of a drought that brought many farmers out of business. At the end of this book, Dorothy throwing the water on her represents the drought ending. The silver shoes represent the addition of silver to the money supply. The silver shoes save her in the end of the book when she taps them together. This relates to how the addition of silver saved many people of that time. In this cartoon, you can see William Jennings Bryan's face on the lion. He has a free silver around his neck as a collar, demonstrating his support in the movement. The dogs barking next to him represent the greedy Eastern bankers who are not happy about the free silver movement.
In the end, all we know for sure is that Baum, inspired by European folk legends, had set out to create one for American children. And whether or not he intended any hidden meanings, its continuing relevance suggests he succeeded in creating a fairy tale America can call its own.